I'm going to have my first students here this afternoon. A couple that have already met and joined me when I did a demo down by the river last year that you've seen on my channel here, painting water and pastel by the riverside. Beautiful place. And we're going to work on trees today, so I thought for the first lesson here I'd share it with you. It's a very simple one, but we're just going to use black Indian ink and water and then do a wash of watercolour afterwards, just to show them how we can use stick and ink, brush and ink and get brush skills and textures with those. So what we're going to do today is this picture, and we're going to use black Indian ink to do all of the darks. We're not going to paint with dark paint much at all.
We start with the dark.
We're going to start with the dark, yeah,
okay.
In this case. With watercolour normally we go from light to dark, but in this case because we're using Indian ink which is waterproof, we can paint the watercolour on later. So I want to show you just the use of these sticks to do very fine lines with the ink, and then the use of brushes and how we control the brushes. So we're going to paint all of these darks in with the bigger brushes to do the large bits, get smaller and smaller and smaller, and finish with the little twigs just scratching about. And I'll also show some techniques with brushes as well. But next week I want to go through all the brushes and the papers when there's more of us. But today, that's what we're going to use. You can just use a bit of stick from the hedge, but you always want to choose a piece that hasn't got pith in the middle. Yeah, because otherwise you've got a hole in the middle, you need a point.
Yeah.
So we won't take the pith that way.
Spell the pith.
Right, watercolours. I'll go into this all this stuff later, but a bottle of Indian ink we can share between us, and all my brushes. So I'm not even going to bother drawing it out. If you feel more at home just doing a little bit of drawing, you can do, but as long as we've got the approximate amounts, you know, that's all that matters. Shake the ink up, I've got plenty of ink. Now the danger of Indian ink is that it is waterproof, and it's dangerous because if you get it on you, it's hard to get it off. So we haven't got much ink in now, I'll go and get some more ink. Right, so we've got our ink ready there. I think you're going to be quite impressed with my brushes. We're going to go into these in more depth next week. But in oils or acrylics, I can get away with just one set of brushes basically. But with watercolours, there are so many textures and techniques that we can use. And you see the amount of brushes that I actually keep. And they're all useful for different things. Sponge, ordinary sea sponge.
Yeah. You only use brushes, not a pen.
Hardly. I have pens in here.
Okay.
I have special Profi pens and pens like this, for instance. Oh, sorry, that.
Because Pip is always working with a pen.
Yeah, you can do watercolour pen, but it's very tight.
Yeah.
It's very, you know, we shall use these techniques. I tend to paint very loosely and then go tighter. My own way of working is that if you start loose, you can finish tight. If you start tight, you can't go loose. So we're going to start very loosely here and go tighter and tighter. China graph pencil, which is very useful with watercolour as well. Doing snow scenes and things. We'll do this later. We've got fan brushes, we'll use one of those today for the end of these branches. Wash brushes, we're going to use those for doing the background. And we're going to need some ordinary round brushes, like these ones, for doing the fine work or the water for these sort of branches here. So thicker brushes and then down to thinner. And then we'll go right down to these sticks to do the very fine twigs at the end. Yeah?
Okay.
So it's going to be fairly straightforward. So I'll put the brushes over there. All of these have a use, so we'll find uses for them. So I want to just copy this. I'm not going to copy it exactly, I just want the basic. Yeah. Now, for instance, if I just say a little bit of ink onto my brush, if I just mark this into quarters and eighths now, just approximately, so that's about a quarter, I'm pretty good with measuring up things these days. Don't have to use a ruler. So you could have used a pencil on here if you wanted. Right, so I'm just going to mark, just mark this, just to do it with a pencil normally, just to demonstrate to you how simple it is. As I'm measuring, we don't have to go into great detail. Remember that Constable moves things around in the landscape. It's what happens on the paper that's most important, it's not what's in our heads. It's what finishes up here. So remember to copy that exactly. It's what looks right here that matters in the end. Constable moved his trees 30 yards apart. The places are still there, the mill and so on. So I'm not too bothered about that, but I know that this tree is about halfway there. And I'm going to start from the thickest part, which is way down here, so that's just sort of halfway between there and there here. I'm going to come straight up. Now use your brush flowingly, so you can turn the paper anytime you want, but let's say that branch finishes here. I want to bring a stroke that's going to go from thick and gradually get thinner. You see I'm letting the brush come lighter and lighter as it comes up. So we go from thick to thin. As easy as that. Thick to thin. Yep. Easy as that. Thick to thin. Up we come again. This branch up here, thick. A bit thicker there now because it comes right off here. It must be thicker down here than here, mustn't it? So we come up thicker. I'm resting my little finger on the paper just to give myself, but watch you don't do that with the ink underneath it. Otherwise you'll smudge everywhere. Thick to get thinner, and take the weight off the brush, and now we go thick to thin. So it's the easiest thing. Don't try and be exact, don't worry yourself, get stressed out. Just go thick to thin, but make sure that they're always going thick to thin. And if you need a smaller brush, you can use these brushes edgeways as well, so if you make them into a blade, if I make that brush into a blade, yeah, that means now that I can paint thinner marks, look. We don't just have to use the round brush, we make the brush into a blade. I come from here, now that's just about halfway there, so I'm going to go quite thick again, I'm going to press hard, I'm going to come lighter and lighter, lighter, and just wiggle that branch up, let it twist and break and wiggle up to a tiny branch, almost breaking off completely there, right out here. There's a series of the trees to do, yeah? We've got another one coming up to here, but here we're going to bring this big one right out here. It's all chunky and gnarled. We're bringing up and through, right off to here. So we can make the brush do different things. The brush doesn't have to just be flat. And then we're going to bring that shut through here. Another little, I've got the brush right down to a thin edge look now. I can just bring that brush up to this little tree here. That's coming out there, dark here, and the tree just coming up, just fluffing at the edges. Look, by pressing lighter, just using the dry end of the brush, you can get the feeling of that. The tree's back here. It's coming, isn't it? Right, so I will give you each a brush now so you can carry on, and we'll put some ink in the middle for you. You can reach. It's a very complicated picture that we're going to actually do in a matter of a couple of hours, and you'll be quite surprised how much you'll get done. That's it, and then go thinner and thinner. And remember, however thick this is, you've got to be thicker here. So if you've got that thick, this is going to have to come right. You see what I mean? They've got to go. You've got to go thick, thin. Everything that comes off has to be. So that has to be that thick. Yeah. That one will come down here, thicker here, and then it gets thinner there. Yep. So it's always thick and thinner.
It's a little bit different because normally when you're painting, you're always also painting from up to down.
You can.
No, yes, you have to turn the paper.
You can turn, and you can go thin and then press harder. You can go light and then go harder. Yeah. But I think it's generally easier to go this way around. Not this, you can just, once you know how it works, you can just make them up. You can just keep going, putting more in. So as long as you go from thick to thin. Can I just have the photograph back a minute, because I want to go on to the next stage so that you can just get on then. So move that out of the way. That's it. You can see this is lovely, this is going well. Try and make them flow, try and let them come out and flow in one to another. You can see here, that's quite chunky, so it just comes in, they flow one to another. Right. What I'm going to do now is dip my pen into the ink bottle, by sticking to the ink bottle. And obviously you can make the stick sharper or blunter. I've done these at both ends. If I get that, get some ink on it. You can draw quite a long line with a stick like this without, with surprising look. So with this we can put all these twigs in.
Yeah.
So this isn't a very sharp point, you can make a sharper point. So you haven't got to buy expensive pens, you can use just a piece of stick sharpened up like this to make all of our lines.
He makes a picture in 5 minutes.
Well, I do. I work very quickly, and you will learn this way. It's when you get more confidence as well, it'll come. It's what's called compound interest. The more you do, the better you get, the better you feel, the better you it all. Right, so you can just sort of spread these around, just make them something like with this little line. Just move on. Just move you over. Just clear off. Look. Right. Right. Bit of sea sponge with texturing here. So it depends which bit of sea sponge you're going to use. I'm just going to take your brush and nick a bit of that ink from there, just put it into here. That's all I'm going to need, not too much. There you go. And don't do it too hard, just pick up on the edge. Now you see some of this texturing going on down here and round into here. Just going to just gently use a bit of sponge to give our texturing on the road. This is just to show you. We do the same with watercolour, we can do the same with oils, we can do the same with acrylics. Sponge, different textures we can use to get this sort of. Yeah. You can even drag it slightly if you want to get slightly furrier textures. Like that. A little bit of dragging over the field there, just a little bit. It's fairly dry now, look.
Could
And
use a
then
wash
we're
brush.
going to use this soft, large round brush, which is a wash brush as well. What I want to do is drop in some of these soft greys a little bit. We're going to do some of this with colour later anyway, but just to show you how we can get the effect of distance and so on with just this. So I'm going to put some, this is now dry, look. Yeah, it's waterproof. So I'm going to put water right across here. This is just up to the mountain, the hills here. I'm going to put water all the way across here. Hey,
Sorry.
don't interfere.
I thought you were going to spoil the picture.
Doesn't matter, I do. Don't need to work with that. So I've got water across there now. Don't want too much. The wetter we make it, the more the water will, because painting wet into wet, the wetter we paint it, the more the paint will spread out. So I'm just going to show you what happens here. If I take a little bit of the black on my brush, just make a thinner mix. And of course the more dark we use, the more this will spread out. A little bit from there. That's it. Too much now. I'll thin it down a bit. Right. These trees here, for instance, now, if I just drop that there, you see how the trees form in the wet look.
Can you see it, Bill?
Mm-hmm.
They just spread out.
It's
Look,
curled
yeah?
up.
Yeah.
Now I'm using a medium grey at the moment. I'm going to a little bit now. I'm going to leave some mist in between. So I'm going to go along the top of the hills here. I'll leave the light in between. Look, come down to here. Leave another bit going on here. Then it just disappears into there. Got down the meadows here. The texturing. So how much water and how much you put? If you put too much on it, it's going to spread in completely. So I'm going to let that dry a little bit as I work. I'm going to bring some of these greys in down through here. So it's going greyer and lighter. We've got the effect of distance already, haven't we?
Yeah.
And we've got that and that. Now, if I take the stronger colour, this is just to show you what these trees are a little bit stronger here, and just drop a bit more of that, just touching there, very well on here. Look at our trees growing there. Yeah.
That's what Pip is doing.
Is it?
So this is watercolour tea. We're going to be doing all sorts of different techniques in the future. We're going to be painting wet into wet, wet next to wet, wet next to dry, washes over, washes and layers. But this is just to give you an idea of how we can do this. Right. So that will be your next stage. We'll let that dry, and when you've done this and you've done your bit of sponging, you've done the sponging, when you've done your twigs, you've got the sponging to do, you've got this to do, then a cup of tea, and then we're going to paint some colour. Right, this is called a wash brush. It's an oval mop. You see it's an oval shape and they're nice and soft. And that means they hold a lot of liquid and they'll go right into the paper. We want to get these cool effects in the background first and then come through to the warms. As we're painting wet next to wet, we can work our way into the whole picture and have it done in a matter of seconds. It's a very cool blue here. When I say cool and warm, I mean hot as in fire red, cool as in ice blue. And every single colour has a cool and a warm. If we look at the palette up here, we can see that that is a very cool blue, acidy, icy. This is a warmer blue, and that becomes into purple, warmer still. So every colour, the greens have a warmer green or a cooler green towards the turquoise, the yellows, a warmer orangey yellows and a cooler yellow. Every single colour has a hue, which is warmer or cooler. That's called colour hue. Okay?
Okay.
Come back down to here, and I'm going to use my cooler blues in the background coming up to my warmer ones. So I'm going to, for fun, now what we should do is wet the watercolours first. These are liquid watercolours from, not blocks already, from a tube put into my palette, and I can use these again, over and over again, just by wetting them. Some watercolours are more transparent than others. We must buy artist watercolour, not students. It's not a saving to buy students because it doesn't go as far and it isn't as transparent, it's not as good. You can get away with students' oils or acrylics, but you don't want to try it with the watercolours. So, for instance, we have several yellows here. Some of them look rather mucky. That's lemon yellow and that's aureolin yellow. And the aureolin yellow looks muckier and darker, but it's in fact more transparent and a much nicer lemon yellow than the lemon yellow is. So we have to learn about our colours a little bit later as well. Don't need the yellow at the moment. What I do want to do is start with this cooler blue. And I'm not even going to put water on. I'm just going to start with a light tint look. I'm going to put wet next to wet. I'm going to put a little tint of that quite thinly, leaving a bit of light there coming right through into the... You can go across these darks, you see, leave a bit of white there, up into here. Now, as I come through, right through the tree here, leave it lighter across there. I go to my next warmer blue up, so I'm going to come through to the cerulean blue, which is this one, a little bit thicker, slightly warmer. See how that blue is slightly warmer? It's not quite as icy. Up through here, right through the page, and I'm going to come to my next warmer one, which is the ultramarine. So we've gone turquoise, cerulean, cobalt, not ultramarine, cobalt, which is a warmer blue still. This is teaching you about the blues, so we're learning. I'm a bit devious. I try to teach you things that you don't even realise are happening. We've learned about warms and cools, and now we've gone from all those blues right the way through there. And I'm going to come up to the very warm blue here. This is my ultramarine, which is a lovely sky blue look, getting slightly thicker with the pigment as well. So we started very thinly, now I'm getting a bit thicker with the pigment. I'm going to go right the way through there, and I'm going to take some of that and add a little bit of purple to it. I'm going to come back down to that with the purple. Now if I were to tilt this, we could get a lovely effect of the sky, just tilt it a little, look, and we get the sky coming down. Now take that same warm here, I'm going to bring it through here and just let that go softly into there, down to here, a little bit warmer, a little bit more purple again, and I'm going to go warmer here with that purple. Just see that line there, through here, come with the purples into here. Look how quickly it's working. Now we go to the green. Well, it's still working. Don't mind one colour going into another. I'm going to take a little bit of this sap green here, and I'm going to put some green through here. Instant.
Yeah.
Straight through, right through here.
It changed immediately, yeah?
And there's green coming into here as well. So, watch where the colour is. One colour tends to come into another. We don't just have brown tree, blue sky, brown earth. One colour comes into another. So it links the painting together. So we've got the green coming right through into here. Then I've got more of that blue coming through into the road down here, look. I'm going to mix them together. Now there's a bit more warmth down here, so I'm going to take a little bit of burnt sienna, which is that colour there. And I'm going to drop a bit of that warmth into here. Just dabbling it on and dragging it through. And the picture's almost finished. As quick as that, yeah? Just to give you an idea. So that's what we're going to be doing next. Right, there we go, ladies. Can you just hold your pictures up for us, please? Let's see what you've done. Which will be your first go at this technique. It's not bad at all. Are you happy with them?
Yes,
For a start?
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
You won.